Hey folks, this week Maurice Kalinowski joins me and we talk about Qt, or Qt if you've been mispronouncing it for forever like the rest of us have. It's the framework that runs just about anywhere and lets you build just about anything from phone applications to a full-blown desktop environment. We're looking at you, KDE. This is FLOSS Weekly, episode 856, recorded Tuesday, November the 25th. Qt! Fix it, please. My mom is calling. Hey folks, it is time for FLOSS Weekly. That's the show about free, libre, and open source software. I am your host, Jonathan Bennett, and today we're talking about Qt. That is it's a library that makes a lot of things run. It runs on Windows and Linux, I think Mac. I'm pretty sure there at least was for a while. There may still be an Android and iOS port of it. It's one of those toolkits that lets you ideally write code once and run it in a whole bunch of different places. And it's got an interesting relationship with other projects that we love, like KDE and some other things on Linux. And so we reached out and we were put in contact with Maurice Kalinowski, who is a project director there at the Qt group. And he has done project management on some interesting places like Windows CE and UWP. He's done some MQTT work in the IoT stuff. And it's going to be super interesting. A lot of questions about Qt, and I'm looking forward to learning about this. So without any further ado, Maurice, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Oh, having me this time here. Yep.
Yeah. So Qt, give me the, I guess, 50,000-foot view. That's our traditional way to ask it. What is Qt, and what does it let someone do?
So let me maybe start with a very first comment from my side, and that probably is because otherwise people might get confused. We call it Qt.
Okay.
It's a regional thing sometimes how people pronounce it. So
I know that, but I'm not sure that I will be able to convince my mouth to say that.
That's a usual answer, or an answer I usually get from native English speakers, to be honest. I've had once a situation where I was a CTO of a company who once said, I will never say my Qt developers. So
it's fair. That's fair.
That's fair enough. But yeah, okay, now that we talk about Qt or Qt, what is it actually? Mostly we are known from where we started with, it's a GUI framework, so to say. That's how it all started. And I think from your intro also like perfectly matching in, using the same code, C++ at that point with widgets, bringing that to Windows, Linux, Mac. And basically that's how it started. From that angle, then multiple things happened. So there's a couple of platforms you haven't been mentioning in the intro. So Android and iOS, yes, of course. But also to a large extent when it comes to the embedded side of things. So and when we talk about embedded Linux naturally, but also the real-time operating systems, so QNX, VxWorks, Integrity, and all the various variants when in there as well. While also at the same time, Qt has been growing over times. We grew 30 years actually this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in that respect, it's also, you could say, to a large extent, even a full middleware layer when it comes to creating whole-based solutions and devices when out there, especially when it comes to the embedded scenario.
Yeah. How low into the embedded space does KDE get? I mean, can we run on, let's say, STM32s, the Arduino framework? Does it go all the way down there, or is that a little too lightweight for Qt?
I think there now the answer actually is a mixture of. So with Qt, we have been going fairly low, also on the MCU side even. Then again, we do have a separate product also, which is called Qt for MCU. That is when maybe a bit out of this context, which is solely focusing on the microcontrollers. It's a separate product, which is which we're having tailored towards that. But it's also only the UI part in that respect. So in the meantime, I've been talking about widgets, how we call it as a technology, but we've also have a UI layer or UI language, which we call QML, which will be very familiar to the ones using JSON or other technologies, like how you would, in a declarative way, describe your user interfaces. And that is more tailored to even low-end MPUs, but you wouldn't necessarily go to the microcontroller with that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. So what is it seems like over the years, I've had this explained to me before, and I couldn't explain it to you right now, which is why I have you on the show. What's the relationship between Qt and the open source releases? is everything open source? Do we lag behind by a version? I honestly can't remember exactly how it works, but I know there's a story here.
Yeah. Is it okay if I give a long history of 30 years of open source relationship?
Sure. We like long answers.
I work now for Qt since 19 years, so maybe there's 11 years missing overall. But we were actually the first ones who had the weird idea of let's have a product, release it as open source, but also have a commercial license. Initially, it started when that was in Trolltech times, even when the idea was let's come up with our own open source license and call it QPL. Surprisingly, it didn't get that much of an adoption. So that was when Trolltech at one point decided let's go with the GPL. So everything which back then has been done as Qt was always the very same product, open source on a GPL, and then the commercial variant for, well, the customers we had who were aiming for basically creating closed devices, closed solutions, closed applications. So in that respect, open source has always been at our heart as Qt, as a technology in itself, because we also strongly believe that you will get lots of innovation also coming from the outside. Yes, we have clever minds in the company, but if you are open source, you can also get much more opinions out there, right? So this is what you should be moving to. I have an idea here, there, etc. So that's already when we started getting into relationship with open source. Also, as you have been mentioning, KDE, okay, now this is really getting into a history track. But Matthias Ettrich, who founded KDE back then, he hired me actually into Qt in 2006. So that's also the relationship in there. So Qt and KDE, that has kind of growing together all the time. Yeah. And we still have a very strong partnership and relationship with them. There's many engineers, KDE helping us, upstreaming things in Qt they need for KDE. Many of our engineers actually also working on KDE, either in their spare time, also doing their job. We recognize projects out there who are using both technologies, so strong relationship also in that respect as well. And coming back to the original question, how it looks like today, it's a mixture of portfolio licenses, so to say. So over the time, we have been moving to the LGPL 3, for instance, which comes across, let's say, the core layers of Qt, so all foundational parts. And then there is some parts, aspects we are now licensing on the GPL actually as well, coming back to that extent, because, well, Qt as a technology has been doing a reroute through Nokia times, etc. And then, yes, we also do have here and there some commercial-only assets as well in a product to make it a bit more attractive for the commercial customers.
Sure. You mentioned Nokia. There's sort of an interesting... How shall we put it? Sidetrack, a detour the project took, the company took through Nokia. So it was originally part of Trolltech, right? Qt was, and then Nokia bought Trolltech. Is that what happened?
Exactly. Yes.
That
is back then.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was basically what happened in, I think it was 2008. And Nokia at that point in time recognized we are having way too many platforms in-house. We need a common UI layer to actually create an application for all the kinds of phones we do and what's out there in the market. So Qt is nice. Let's use Qt as one UI layer for all Nokia phones. And then later on also that already was when the time when the first iPhones came out and touch was becoming a thing. Crazy times. So yes, when the idea was also how do we create an application ecosystem, developer ecosystem, right? How does all of that work? How do you build a community? And Qt as such was very attractive to Nokia. But let's face it, Nokia also had way bigger problems than the one common UI layer at that point in time. And yeah, so later on we became independent and standing on our feet again.
Was there a time then that Microsoft owned Qt?
No, actually not. No.
You dodged that bullet. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right, and so, but there is, to speak of Microsoft, you guys have support for some of the Windows platforms, and I saw in your bio that one of the things that you've worked on is Windows CE, and I jokingly asked you before the show started, does that even exist anymore? And your answer surprised me, so I'll ask you again. Windows CE, does that even exist anymore?
It does exist, and yes, surprisingly, and we're getting the signals that it's kind of getting EOL'd these days. So, but that is, to be honest, I don't see any kind of project happening in the world where you would now start with Windows CE. But also, like, there's many devices out there or solutions out there. I mean, for those of you who don't know Windows CE, that was like Microsoft's early stage on let's create an embedded operating system. Yeah, it's more like running out the devices you currently have in the field and then moving on there. But actually, yeah, that was my first task actually when I started as an engineer working on Qt, and it was pretty interesting to see how then many of our users actually used Qt as an enabler. So we want to get rid of Windows CE. We heard Linux is great, but we cannot move everything at the same time. So, and Qt with the cross-platform promise, just basically as you gave in the intro, then decided let's redo all our user interface in Qt. And then we just exchange the underlying operating system and we're done.
It's a stepping stone.
That worked fairly well for many.
Yeah. I have interacted with a Windows CE device that I knew was Windows CE, I think once in my life. I'm sure there are more of them than that I just didn't realize. This one in particular was a price scanner at a store. And I don't remember what the magic was, but there was some magical way that you could close the price scanner application and then poke around at Windows CE underneath. And I discovered that one day. I was young. This was a long time ago. It was very fun, though. It was one of my...
Windows 98.
Yeah, it was actually Windows CE on a little embedded device, about yay big. That was one of my first introductions to some of these things are hackable. You could do interesting things with these. Yeah. Is Qt on Windows CE as ugly underneath as it sounds like it would be? I'm just curious. It sounds like that would be a disaster.
It's no, I mean, from our end, especially when it comes to the UI, we will basically have two value propositions. Number one is if you want to have your own custom modern user interface with animations and how you create a proper UX these days, you can do that with Qt. Shiny and modern, etc., etc. But at the same time, native look and feel is still important. So in that respect, that is also what we enable. If you want to have an application look native, even on iOS, because you've been talking about that before, iOS or on a desktop platforms, that's also what Qt supports with the native styles. So, and on Windows CE times, yes, if you chose to make it look native, it was ugly as hell. If you desired to. Usually you didn't want to do that and rather want to have a good looking UI, and that's where Qt has been helping in a better way, say it like that.
How opinionated is Qt? I mean, obviously you were just talking about that dichotomy between do you want things to look like the native OS or do you want things to look like Qt? How opinionated is the Qt framework in that?
Well, when it comes to asking the other way around, do you mean like in regards of theming or such? Because we give full flexibility to the developers how they want it to look like, or to the designers. So
yeah, so let's just say I spin up a new application with the Qt framework, and I want to do as little work as possible, leave as much of it boilerplate. Which way is it going to look like? Is there like a Qt theme that it's going to look like by default, or is it going to look like a native app in all of its either glory or ignominy? So
we do have a couple of default themes in that respect, but also more like to give some guidance on developers, like how you would create your own one. It happens very seldomly that from let's say the theme we have by default in Qt is then going to be used in the projects out there. Also same with KDE, for instance, KDE having style adoptions to Qt, for instance. You could have a Qt application which then queries the system like, hey, how am I supposed to look like, etc. So it's yes, we do give starting guidance. At the same time, we seldomly or almost nowhere recognize that it's then going to be going out with that theme as well to production.
Yeah. Qt is mainly C++. Is that primarily how people interact with it?
Yes, and there has been historically quite some discussions around, because we have something which is called mock, the meta object compiler, which has been doing code generations, and let's say back then with the very strict C++ engineering side, it was like, this is not proper C++ because you are generating code in the meantime and do things it's supposed to be meant. Luckily, there was a person called Bjarne Stroustrup who said what these guys are doing is perfectly fine. That kind of cooled cooled it a bit down, so to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, predominantly Qt is C++, even though these days we're looking a bit into other programming languages as well in various methodologies, so to say.
Right. So if someone takes, and this may be outside of your wheelhouse, but I'm just curious, if someone wants to go to like Android, do you write in Java and then write bindings to go to C++? Or if you're going to use Qt, do you just write a C++ Android application?
To be honest, today the answer is yes and whatever you want.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, that's a better answer than it could be, for sure.
But maybe give a bit of background. Mm-hmm. So yes, historically, when you write a Qt application, as I said, it's C++. We take care of all the tool chains running natively on Android, and basically of all the encapsulation. So that is possible. But Android is also a good example of how, for instance, with Android services, etc., you want to have multiple applications talk to each other. So then you start looking into how do you bind C++ with Java. So you're looking into JNIs. There's one project which we call Jenny, which is about how do you basically get the Android APIs also like reflected in C++. The other situation is you are an Android developer, and we haven't even been talking about like what kind of UI functionality also Qt comes with. So whereas we have graphs for visualization, live representation of data, we have a 3D engine, etc. So all these high-level APIs in that respect. So even if you are a native Android developer, you might find items very propelling coming from Qt. So how do you get that in without when us telling you, okay, first you learn C++ and then you can use it?
First you rewrite your entire application in C++, and then you get the shiny thing that you wanted.
Right. Isn't that cute?
Bravo.
No, so that's, for instance, why we have one solution which is called Qt Quick for Android. Which one really goes to you do get all these benefits even as a native Android developer. So you would integrate when your QML or Qt Quick UI into an Android application, and then basically use all the benefits of Qt in there, but can still stay with Java on your end.
Yeah, yeah. Is there Qt in a web browser? Is that part of the offering?
Yes, via WebAssembly. Okay. So we don't have, as such as I was talking about, how Qt Quick is very easy declarative language to use. But yes, this basically still runs in a WebAssembly runtime context, so to say. Usually helping us from two ends. Number one is Qt projects now supposed to be run in the browser. So you've been working on your UI for quite many years. How do you basically bring in your application over? Mm-hmm. That can be standard desktop applications. We also recognize lots of embedded scenarios when it comes to remote maintenance, for instance, in that field. But also when it comes to, so to say, web developers. Again, talking about 3D visualization aspects, etc. When we all know WebAssembly is close to native performance, right? So sometimes with, let's say, JavaScript frameworks or such, you might not get the performance you're asking for, and when looking for a runtime, basically, which is bound in WebAssembly, basically. So that's also an advantage when basically to the web developers utilizing Qt for WebAssembly.
Yeah, we had a project on, I think it was last week, that really surprised me, that they were doing WebAssembly on embedded, and they had this little tiny virtual machine that would run WebAssembly down on really small embedded devices, and I just never thought about that being a thing. But it's essentially its own bytecode, so you can run it in all kinds of places.
This WebAssembly is a super interesting technology. I was actually listening to that episode, and I was surprised because you were also talking about containerization in that context. And I think it was it the ex-CEO? Somebody from Docker itself who actually said, I would not have invented Docker if WebAssembly had existed at that point in time already. Because with WASI, you do get all the encapsulation and security-related aspects basically in there implicitly and have a runtime. So it's kind of interesting how all these now blends together, and when it comes to orchestration, how you then can use containers even in there, and some WASI runtimes. And it's going to get very blurry when it comes to architectures these days.
Does this mean that WebAssembly is the replacement for Java? It's an interesting thought.
It is.
So, roadmap at Qt. It's one of the things you guys mentioned in documentation. How does this work? And I guess more broadly, like, how does the community work? If I don't know how difficult it is to start doing like work on the Qt framework. But if I've got this brilliant idea for something new for Qt to do, what does the process look like for either, asking one of you guys to do it or even diving in and writing code myself?
I think you also gave like both options, right? Asking us to do it, or like doing it yourself. So asking us to do it is easy. Reach out to us, and then we can talk like how we will do it and which time frame. So generally, if you want to get involved, quteproject.org would be the page where it's like, okay, how to get started, check out the code. We use Gerrit, which might be a bit of a let's say complicated start for some people. Then again, there's quite many projects using Gerrit for code reviews, etc. If you you have a clear idea, so to say. Obviously, the first thing should rather be reach out to the development list, where we also Qt development at project.org is our public mailing list, where the whole community is part of that. Like, hey, does that make sense? We do have a forum. We do have a Discord as well. So there's various channels, basically, how you could reach out to us. And then, first discuss the idea. Does it make sense? How you want to do it? Usually it goes in the way we have, basically, from a repository infrastructure, we have something called Qt Labs, where we then basically start experimenting. Does it make sense? People can play around with it. And once basically we see adoption, when it comes to, making it a regular module. So Qt in itself, basically, we have a module called Qt Git, which basically then just fetches all the sub-modules of what defines, so to say, Qt as a fixed product, and then all the other repositories and modules in addition then.
Right.
And move along. Time zone-wise, we release twice per year.
Okay.
So aiming for March and September, which I guess is in the open source and Linux space is a well-known time frame. So in that respect, and then a couple of releases in between our long-term support releases as well.
I imagine if someone comes along just with a great idea, it goes onto the great idea list, unless somebody wants to pay to sponsor it to actually happen.
It's a mixture of. It also is. I mean, it also depends on the scope. To be honest, right? So we do have one partner who came by and also through the open source has been looking in industrial protocols and then bringing that one in, which also helped us significantly and a lot. So that was really great. Then there's sometimes also just like smaller things, just simple API additions. Hey, this makes this and that more convenient. But also let's face it, these days it's not only about like contributing code, right? There's documentation parts, there's examples, there's community management overall, which is super important if you want to have a lively and engaging communication also with like all the users and developers out there.
Yeah. I assume, talking about the community side of things, you guys have had to come face to face with AI as a question. Everybody has to deal with it, right? It's you guys too, I'm sure. What is the what stance has the project taken? Let's start there on, let's say, AI contributions and all of that.
AI contributions. Okay, we're going to that end.
There's
as it stands,
multiple different parts of this question. We'll start there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Starting with the contributions. No, as such, So right now we stay away from AI created or Gen AI created patches coming to Qt. So, but that's status quo right now. We do not accept anything which is generated by AI. Also, due to certain, let's say, trademarking or compliancy cases of where does actually, which model has been used, etc., etc. That might change in the future, also as we're recognizing we're not the only one who's recognizing that as a potential situation. So that's as it is when it comes to contributing. The other part of how does Qt, what's Qt relationship with AI overall? It's like, do we need to do something?
Yeah, that's the other.
Or is it rather how does Qt work with AI technologies? So just today I was talking to a colleague from coming from the medical field, who was super happy with Qt and using Qt in medical scenarios with AI, and it's like, okay, how does that relate to each other? But again, I mean, AI does visualization of certain medical, or wants to do visualization of certain medical conditions, right? Identifying critical parts of an MRT or whatever it is. And that's how we see it working together. Like you have an AI use case, and then you have Qt basically, making it visible and interactable to the user. So that's our stance.
So you're not rebranding yourselves as an AI company? AI first?
Not yet.
Please don't.
I mean, coming to say that we do have a Qt AI assistant as a solution, which is for running code completion as a code assistant, basically running locally without any kind of cloud services attached to that. Especially from the commercial side, recognizing there's a huge concern when it comes to like, okay, what's actually happening in there. So yeah, it's not that we're staying completely away from it, but also it's not AI first as of now.
That seems a reasonable take. I am amazed by how many companies have seen they've seen the bubble that we live in and said, let's just go all in on this. Like, really? Is that really what you wanted to do?
I guess there's so many levels. I mean, number one is everybody calls everything AI these days, right? So that's like first, hey, let's have a look on what you're actually talking about. Yeah. And personal take.
My fancy regex script. It's AI powered. No, it's just regex.
Exactly. Yeah.
Your personal take.
Yeah, but all of that aside and all the concerns which I also have, the interesting thing is, because you said bubble, personally I believe, yes, there is a bubble, but at the same time, when you compare it, many compare it to the internet bubble of the 2000s, right? It's, yes, it was a bubble, yes, it bursted, but hey, here we are, video conferencing.
100%.
The internet is still a thing.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Right.
I've made that analogy before, and I think there's some other bubbles that you can look at. You talk to some guys that are older than we are, and they lived through the personal computer bubble, and that burst and took a lot of companies out with it. But yet here we are. We all have our multiple PCs in our house, and there have been some others along that line. So yeah, I think that's I think it's absolutely the right way to look at it. Yeah.
So it is there to stay. How it's going to shape out, that's yet to be seen. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What is Qt Bridges? I don't think we've talked about that yet.
Haven't talked about it yet. It's something we have been launching or announcing at our conference, Qt World Summit, which we are having like once or biannually, so to say. We've been talking about before programming languages and then Qt being C++, right? But let's face it, there's other programming languages with different advantages as well. So, I mean, talking AI, let's go take a step back. Machine learning, big thing, everything Python based, even though it was using C Python underneath. But anyways.
Don't give away the secret.
But I mean, that's where developers were. And that's where many people were like, okay, now I've created something in this language. Let's start with Python. And now I actually want to have a UI. How do I get that? Initially, the idea is language bindings. Bring use an FFI and then connect C++ and Python, which works. Yeah. But it also only works. It's not the most pleasant thing, let's face it. We have our team lead there, Christian de Maurice. He has been doing a great representation at Academy, which is the KDE yearly conference, where he has been presenting what Bridges then is. Because right now, if you look at Qt for Python, if you are a Qt developer, it's brilliant. If you know Qt, it's brilliant. But you need to know what a Q main or what a Q application is. You need to know what signals and slots are, like all these Qt mechanisms. And if you then look at your Python code, it basically, you're rewriting a Qt application in Python. And, well, that's okay if you know Qt. But again, Qt being C++, and let's face it also as well, C++ has a steady user base. What if you're coming from a different language? You are an expert in that language and are looking for a UI solution. You don't want to learn C++ Qt. You want to combine that to Qt Quick, as a UI layer, and then have as easy basic to transition between the two. And that is what Bridges is about. You are coming from the Python side, you're coming from the Rust side or C# side, have invested quite a lot of time into creating your backend, but now are basically looking in how do I make this actually a great UX with touch or whatever it's going to be. And that's where Bridges comes into play.
Does it try to be does it try to feel more like using the original language? So it tries to use those paradigms. Like, is Bridges an automated system, or is there a lot of hand tuning that goes on? Is it written for each of these languages?
I guess, I mean, the idea is for most use cases, or for the basic use cases, stay as automated as possible. Also, our ambition is you do not need to touch any C++ code. So that is going to get automatically generated. And then the idea really is like, how do you bring data as a backend to the UI layer when in that respect, right? So yes, there is certain conventions, but we want to make those as close to the native language you are using as possible. Mm-hmm. So again, I can only recommend Christian's presentation there. Maybe for the show notes, I can also send a link later on, where he's also giving a couple of references, like how do things look like in C# or in Python, etc., mm-hmm. to get an understanding of how that works.
Yeah. What languages are supported there? I'm like, I know there are some oddball languages that people like to write things in because everybody has to be different. Are they pretty much all supported by bridges, or is it just those few?
It's just those few. So okay. Right now in the scope, I guess the prominent examples are of course C#, Python. That's what we know. Rust is having so much prominence you cannot do anything in that context without looking into Rust.
You can't write anything without somebody telling you that you should have written it in Rust. Yes.
I mean, let's stay out of the language discussions in itself.
That is a whole new war in itself.
There's pros and cons for each of the languages.
Absolutely.
So usually when just last week I was giving a presentation as well. When it comes to the language discussion, it's when we started Qt, you selected C++ and checked. You decided on C++ and then check which frameworks are there. These days, you're more looking for a use case and then figure out, okay, do I switch language for this particular use case, whatever. Yeah. So that's the first languages I've been mentioning, but also we're looking into Go and Swift, etc. The person who's heading it from my team, from the product management side, he would like it to be as generic as possible and as easy as possible to then extend it also to any kind of language you can think of. Because, there's... What about Zig? What about what not language, right? Yeah. But this is like the starting point for us to learn. And then generally also with Qt, everything which we have been doing cross-platform, so to say, we always started with two platforms to verify, can we create a common API, so to say, for specific use cases, then broadening up to other platform and operating systems. We didn't do all OSs, which I was referring to right from the get-go, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Now we alluded earlier to the language thing. I have trouble saying cute in English because reasons. Where is cute, and where are you based out of? I meant to ask that earlier and forgot to. Where are you speaking to us from?
So right now I'm in the Qt group headquarters in Finland. Espoo, or rather Helsinki. Helsinki should probably be more known. Although I might get anger here from the people living here because Espoo is its own city. Yes. Personally, I usually work from Berlin, Germany. Okay. Trolltech in itself, or Qt in itself, has been founded in Oslo, Norway. And then we do have another R&D entity in Oulu, Finland as well. So that's mostly the R&D sides. But then when it comes to offices, it's really across the whole globe.
Okay. Are there any? Is there anything particularly interesting? Any particular challenges about that sort of global company infrastructure? I assume that sort of means that you're required to meet the compliance regulations of all of those different countries, which sounds like a nightmare. It's bad enough being in one country, I tell you.
Well. Let me put it this way. That's also why quite many people choose Qt and especially use our commercial offering. Because to a large extent, we want to be, or we are strategic partners to them. I've been talking about medical before. Automotive is a good example as well. Industrial automation, this is like the biggest industries for us that we're also serving in. But also there's audio and video processing, but that's not that regulatory. So yeah, lots of things happening overall. And I mean, but there's many things, many angles. Let's start with accessibility. Accessibility is, there was just this year another law coming in Europe. The US had the ADA as a regulation beforehand. So Qt looks into that naturally as well. How can we support our users in like creating accessible applications so that all users can use it? And it's sometimes super interesting or also like surprising on just talking accessibility. I've had one customer who came to us and said, we need to have accessible displays in a factory. And first I was a bit surprised and said, no, it's if you have a person who is colorblind, he should still see this big red sign. Well, in that case, it's not red anymore, but you need to take care. This is a dangerous situation. So interesting to see how things like accessibility, color blindness, for instance, also are utilized and rightfully so, need to be adapted in all kinds of industries to make it possible to take any kind of job.
Yeah.
The other big topic, of course, right now, which everyone is talking about, cybersecurity, and especially in Europe with the Cyber Resilience Act now getting into place, so to say, fully in 27, but basically personal take, the most important part already like end of next year, which is about you must report if you know you got hacked. So exposing, well, not exposing, but actively exploited security vulnerabilities is the term by the law itself. So how do you basically look into that? What's the process of fixing security issues? When do you get there? So you easily get into SLA discussions and all things of that. So yes, it's a complicated field, minefield sometimes. It's boring as hell for some people, especially as from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah.
But I mean, for us as the Qt group, this is super important because we have users and customers out there who create solutions which need to run for 15, 20 years.
Yeah. I assume you guys have, speaking of the security, the vulnerability thing, I assume you guys have like a vulnerability disclosure program where people could come and tell you, I found X, Y, Z. Are there bounties on that?
We don't do bounties as of now.
Okay.
Interestingly, looking into, I don't know, curl and other projects as well, it seems like bounties don't necessarily work that well, especially given, I don't want to come back to the topic, but of AI slop generated security reports.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that has become such a thing. That is, we talked about the AI bubble and how it has already changed the world and will continue to change the world. That is one of those ways that it has changed the world that I really regret, is it has made it so easy to waste people's time by writing up not just fake vulnerability disclosures, but that's a big part of it. But it's made it so easy to make something that looks good that isn't.
Yeah, fair point. I don't know if it's an international meme or just was distributed in Germany, but there was one, like some person using AI telling, I don't want to do this, and then it created a long email about it. And on the other hand, there was a person summarized this email like he doesn't want to do it.
Yes, very similar memes. AI takes bullet points, turns it into prose, and then turns it back into bullet points at the other end. Yeah, absolutely.
But again, there's lots of pros as well, potential as well in when it comes to that. So let's see how that part is moving too.
Hopefully.
But I mean, coming back to the regulatory part, regulatory part, we can see how these two things are like colliding a lot. Let's say it like that. So. The more you move into a regulatory field, the more you want to have control as well as what the hell is happening here right now.
Yeah. There was an interesting story I saw. It's a bit of a tangent, but since we're talking about it, the idea of the right to be forgotten and how it interacts with the training corpus of AIs. And it's like, if someone is in that corpus, how do you get them out without doing a complete retrain? It's one of those really sticky problems that I'm not sure how things are going to shake out.
Yeah, absolutely right. But I mean, you bring that up because right to be forgotten was a German thing, right? And
I am not
coming
a fan.
From Berlin. Sorry.
Personally, I am not a fan of that idea, by the way.
Of the right to be forgotten?
Correct. I think if something goes out on the internet, it is public, and I do not. On a really fundamental level, I don't agree with the idea that someone should be able to claw information back once it's become public. I think that's I think it's bizarre.
We're completely getting off maybe. But
I know. I do that sometimes.
I think you're absolutely. I think you're right as long as the information you are referring to is actually correct and factual. These days, I mean. Yeah. Anyone can write anything about anyone else. And again, talking about like now this gets fed into something. Let's start with simple search algorithms. And when people starting to trust information which just someone put out without any reference or actually truth or not. So
yeah, that's fair. All right, back to Qt.
yes.
Now that we've taken this huge detour, let's talk maybe a little bit more about the relationship with KDE and the entire what do they call it, the group of K programs. I forget the term that they use for that.
KDE base was basically the selection of modules.
Yeah,
Plasma is the desktop.
The whole series of applications. It's like the KDE framework, or anyway. I'm curious. Yeah. You said you have quite a few of the folks there at Qt that also do the KDE. The KDE thing. Do any of them do it like on the clock, or is it pretty much all labor of love? I'm curious what like that relationship looks like.
It's a mixture of, to be honest. Maybe start with the people working at Qt. Some of the part is on the clock. Some of the part is natural community work and in the spare time. Naturally, we're all both benefiting each other, and was like I said. I mean, kind of KDE also came out of the Qt situation in itself. KDE being completely based on Qt, naturally they also have an interest on like, hey, can we look into improvements on Qt itself as a framework, as it's going to help KDE itself? Personally, I'm a bit disappointed that KDE on Windows is not a thing right now. I've been working on that in 2007 a bit, and apparently
I remember that.
Bitrotted, unfortunately, a lot, apparently. So, yeah, but I also don't have the time to look into it, so I shouldn't complain, because if it's open source, then just fix it.
I remember that being a thing, and I remember trying to get KDE running on my parents' old Windows XP machine way back in the day. It was not a good experience even then, I will say.
No.
But that is one of those bits of trivia that I will occasionally trot out, because hardly anybody remembers that it existed.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool idea. Like, you run Windows, but just dump the entire... Well, you could run individual KDE applications, or, if I understand correctly, you could dump the entire Explorer.exe and run KDE as a layer on top of it. And that was crazy. It was nuts, and it was amazing.
That was the idea back then, yeah. But maybe coming back, so, I mean, working together... I think what's really important for us, and from the Qt side as well, is, KDE is writing a whole desktop environment, basically on Qt. Of course, they write their own extensions, but ultimately it's based on Qt. So it gives us all the scenarios and edge cases with which our framework can be used on, and partially also misused too, right? So it's a huge learning for us to understand what to do with the framework. It's a big verification as well. Like, does what Qt promises to do, does it actually do it? So that's a huge benefit from our end, and we're super thankful actually for that aspect and on that angle in there. At the same time, the other way around, naturally also Qt helping KDE, making things easier and accelerating things. So of course, there's also discussions like, okay, KDE having an idea or us having an idea, where would we place it, right? Do you bring it upstream to Qt? Does it make more sense to be in KDE? And for that, for instance, we have, KDE has Academy as a conference, developer conference, or generally KDE user conference. We have the Qt Contributor Summit as one of our conferences, which is the people working on Qt. And on a regular basis, we're also having these together at the same dates, or one date after another, but co-located, so to say, to also get the people together face to face. Yes, internet has succeeded, but sometimes it's really better to have people sitting next to each other, beer in the hand, and then, like, honestly, okay, let's talk about what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I'm curious. One of the things that I've sort of been following is the work that KDE has done with some unexpected places like Valve and Steam and Steam OS. Have you guys been involved with any of that, or is this I can't comment on that officially?
Not directly. Not directly. We were kind of aware of it, but we haven't been directly involved. This has been going over KDE. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I am sure the official position is that Trolltech would love to get the call from Valve and be able to work on some of that stuff. Our DMs are open, right? One of the other things that I've sort of watched over the years is support for HDR, particularly in Linux under Wayland. Is that
okay.
is that a project that you guys have been working on, or is that sort of just developing in KDE?
It is something we've been working on Qt. We gave an update in May on the World Summit on that. So I think there's two parts to that. HDR generally enabling that for full screen video, whatever you're doing, but that's something you can do with Qt. That's no problem. The interesting part is what's the next step? Do you want to have HDR in partials of your application?
Right.
And that's where it's getting really complicated, especially when it comes to doing it in a cross-platform manner. Again, Qt trying to solve all of these issues for all platforms, and that is super hard. And things are progressing, but yes, it is quite an effort.
Yeah. You particularly have fun things like the way HDR works on Linux is different than how it works on Windows. But on
Exactly.
Windows, the way HDR works on your desktop is different than how it works on a laptop, which is a bit of a head trip.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those deals where it's like Microsoft figured out we did this the wrong way to start with, and we can't fix it everywhere. We'll just fix it in the few places where we can fix it.
Yeah. I guess also when it comes to doing it platform specific, HDR one thing, but I think one of the biggest changes for us from Qt 5 to Qt 6 was, for instance, like revisiting a couple of decisions. Which, when we made Qt 5 in 2012, we were like, OpenGL is the future. Yeah, you're already smiling, right? So fast forward 10 years, there's Vulkan coming up, of course. Apple decided, let's go Metal. Microsoft saying, hey, we too, and kind of reviving the whole DirectX, etc. So of course, when we went from the Qt side, we need to look into how do we make that work on all platforms again. So which is why RHI, which is kind of terminology from our end, how we have been looking into that. So yeah, HDR is not one example of like how you can do things very different platform per platform.
You mentioned Metal.
Mm-hmm.
I've been so surprised. I guess I shouldn't be because it is Apple, but I've been so surprised with the Metal thing that Apple has done, because it really sort of seems to me like they went, we're not all that interested in gaming on the Mac. I don't get it. The thing that really gets me with that is, and again, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but it's my show, I'm allowed to, is that you get a better, like you have more OpenGL support with Asahi now than you do actually running Mac OS on Macs. It's just ridiculous. It's the weirdest thing.
Yep. It's I mean, the easy answer. So first of all, it's surprising when, like you said, no gaming on Apple. How does that come? The answer to that would, from my end, is they are assuming everything going cloud-based and streaming anyways. If you Steam being the only strong one, but standing against it. But if you look into Microsoft Xbox, Nvidia, what is it, GeForce Now, the program, etc. And I'm hearing more and more positive messages like how that actually works latency-wise. But I don't think gaming is the only aspect here. Apple is the platform for the creative people. At least that's how they claim it to be.
Yeah.
And that means video, that means audio processing, etc. Where you also utilize or if those applications are not written in Metal and try to use OpenGL to do their things, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. So to that extent, I also agree with you. Expecting everyone to jump on Metal is quite a tough call to make.
Does Qt have support? Have support for Metal as a backend? I assume you have to some extent.
Exactly. So with Qt 6, we went and said, okay, we need to have support for all of that. Internally, this is called RHI, rendering hardware interface, which basically abstracts away what's supposed to happen. And then basically, either Qt picks up at startup, like, what should I do? OpenGL or Metal. Or you can specify it manually as well.
Yeah, interesting. Are there any other platforms that we've not talked about? Like, can I run OpenBSD, let's say? Are there some of these others that are a bit more niche that Qt supports?
Absolutely. There is still contributions sometimes coming in for HiQ OS. if that is even known.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
Successor of BOS, yeah. So yeah, I mean, Qt. I mean, again, talking about open source nature, if something is open source, people use it for everything, which is great. I guess the question is more like, what do we support? And there we're more talking about, let's say, default platforms: Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, embedded Linux, and then when the RTOS, as I've been talking to. FreeBSD as such, yes, is covered. FreeRTOS, we've seen things also like Big Qt running on, and all kind of variants. Yola still being an operating system for mobiles, for instance, which is also using Qt. So yeah, we do see it in the wild in quite many things, also outside of that.
Do you have any insight into like alternative mobile operating systems? You mentioned just briefly there one of the others. There are reasons that people don't like iOS, and Google made an announcement regarding the side loading thing on Android, and a lot of us saw that and went, well, I guess it's time to think about a new OS. I remember I've watched some of these come and go, and a couple of them were built around the idea of Qt. But I'm not sure that any of them really exist anymore. Where's the cutting edge if someone wants to have a mobile device that doesn't run iOS or Android?
And how does Qt come into play, you say?
I'm sure it does somewhere.
Again, Yola. Also, like when it comes to, is it possible to create a Qt-based mobile OS? Absolutely. First of all, that's again coming back to this is what we did in Nokia times. Migo, Maemo, Migo, and well, unfinished projects when we went in afterwards, still in between. Yola being a thing. Ubuntu Phone actually been using Qt Quick for quite some time. Actually not sure how that works these days. So yeah, and coming back to KDE, even they have a mobile offering as well, right? So in that respect, that's possible. When it comes to the overall situation of do we see like any kind of these open source mobile OS having a chance of success in that, I guess that really would need a heavy hardware player also like jumping ship or jumping on that, supporting that angle. So that's a bit, if it happens, we're absolutely for it. We're happy to support that. Especially to see if it's then also like open source based, support that from our angle. But that's more of a, let's say, reactive situation for us.
I remember seeing devices like the N900 from Nokia and thinking they were just the coolest thing and wishing I could get my hands on one. I was a poor college student and poor just out of college.
Would you still do that today?
I have contemplated running, not the 900, although I do like physical keyboards on phones. I've had several phones with pop-out physical keyboards, and I still like that a lot. I wish people still made those.
Because coming to that, because I mean, BlackBerry was cute as well, especially the BB10.
True.
So there has now been, and then yes, I do also have a romantic remembering of using the N900. But friends of mine have now been used because there's a BlackBerry revival, kind of like, hey, let's make a copycat of that and also use physical keyboards. And they were like, physical keyboards are actually not a thing anymore. I mean, over the last decade, I got so used to.
I mean, there's devices like this. This is a LilyGo device. It uses an old like aftermarket or I think it's actually new old stock of the BlackBerry keyboard. So like, yes, this is a thing that people are still interested in, for sure.
Okay, you're surprising me.
I'm a surprising person. No, I still hate touchscreens. I would dump for text input particularly. I would dump touchscreens everywhere if I could. I really like the physical keyboard. Part of it is because my hands.
What's your take on voice? It's
not terrible. It's not my favorite way to do input though. I really like a physical keyboard. And I ran two phones. One was a Huawei. I didn't know any better at the time, so I ran a Huawei phone that had a slide-out keyboard on it. And of course, they were both Android. And I figured out at the time how to go in and fiddle with the Android OS just enough to be able to give myself custom shortcuts on that. Because I wanted, to be able to hold Alt and hit T and it give me a tab instead of whatever it did. Some things like that because I was messing around in the terminal on the phone, of course. And I really like the ability to do that. So back to the question you asked me if I would still run one. I have thought about finding one of these phones that you can boot the Linux kernel on and everything comes up and is supported, and trying one of the actual Linux distros. I may at some point give that a try. Right now I'm running a Pixel 9a and having a reasonably good experience with that. But definitely watching to see like what the options are out there for running a true Linux phone.
Yeah. So personally, I'm waiting for Christmas season to come, so to say, because I just moved away from my Pixel 6. So I'm using mobiles for quite some time. But as the Pixel 6 also like is there for quite some time, there's quite a couple of options of what to run on that. Background being my mom doesn't trust Google at all. Neither does she want an iOS, and she told me I want a mobile which is not connected to anything. So any data provider or data company. So yeah, Christmas period is going to be for me like trying out what's there and then figuring out, okay, what actually could work for my mom from UX perspective as well. That might be the more challenging part, but she only has a very limited amount of apps she needs. So it's going to be my Christmas challenge endeavor.
That's the ultimate smoke test for anything.
If
any
it
of
works
these
with
things.
mom.
Yes. Can you give it to your parents and they work with it? And you know that somewhere on there's going to be some cute code, right? And so that'll be the part she has trouble with. I know you work on this, son. Can you help me with this?
I mean, if it was just going down to this is a cute deficiency, I could at least talk to one of the internal engineers here and say, fix it, please. Yeah. My mom is calling me all the time.
Fix it, please. My mom is calling me. I think we got the show title. That's great. So we've talked about a bunch of different stuff, some of it not related to cute at all. Is there anything I should have asked you about that we didn't get to?
That's a good question. We really covered a lot.
We tend to. These tend to be very broad reaching. We have a lot of fun with them. So we try to cover a lot of ground.
No, I think, I hope you had a chance to get an understanding of what Qt is up to these days. Also, like, again, oftentimes we get received with, cute, or Qt, mostly if people don't know exactly know what we do. It's like, isn't that this UI thing? And I think it's just like, making sure that Qt is actually way more. Starting low end with how do you abstract file I/O, going to multi-threading, going to databases, going to networking aspect, IoT protocols. The list goes very long. We're even integrating a web browser, Chromium, into Qt Web Engine, so that you can have web content in a Qt-based application. There's actually one case where we had one project. It was a Qt application using Qt Web Engine, meaning running Chromium, which was then running something in WebAssembly, which surprisingly was Qt for WebAssembly.
It's cute all the way down.
So we could kind of optimize it by telling them, hey, maybe you skip the browser part.
Yeah. Boy, there's a bit of interesting history there, isn't there? So I for a moment I was going to ask, isn't it weird that you're using Chromium? And then I was going to ask, have you thought about using Servo or even Ladybird as that layer? But then I thought, no. Chromium is built on the old Conqueror, isn't it?
Oh, that's the whole WebKit moving to Chromium, etc. Yes, and WebKit was created by Lars Knoll, which again was a CTO for us for many, many years. So it all comes together to us having good ideas, I guess.
Yeah. Is Qt still involved in the Chromium development as sort of a result of any of that?
We do have a couple of contributors, though I have to say the situation with Chromium is a bit complicated, especially compared to WebKit, because WebKit had to target have a web runtime everywhere. Chromium is about where Google wants to run Chrome on. So that's a bit of a complicated situation.
Yeah.
So that also comes to which platforms to run on. So running Chromium on embedded Linux is hard. That's quite an effort for us to do, which, our users are happy about, but it is an effort to do. So naturally also looking into, like you said, Servo, admittedly Rust-based, but still a thing, Ladybird, actually Qt based backend already there, so actually would be close to our heart. We're having an eye on that, absolutely. Then again, for many, it's like, well, Chromium is, so to say, complete. Unfortunately, also because they define almost like what web is these days. But then again, Servo is moving along at incredible speed, and Ladybird as well. And to be honest, it has been a while that I have been optimistic of, is there going to be an alternative to Chromium? Because Gecko doesn't seem to be it at the situation we are currently at.
Yeah. All right, I am required to ask you a couple of final questions before we let you go.
Okay.
And I have already been told, I've been warned in the chat that I must do so. What's your favorite scripting language and text editor?
In which role? I guess still being an engineer, because as a PM, that would be probably Notepad.
At least it's not Microsoft Word. I've gotten that answer a couple of times. It's like, oh.
Scripting languages, I guess, because I'm Does Bash count as scripting? Is that hopefully okay? But
we had the creator of Bash on the show.
Oh,
and I asked him if it counted, and he got very offended that I would even ask, and said, "Yes, of course it counts."
Okay. So having that part, and then when it comes to text editor, I guess by my position, I'm obliged. I'm forced to say Qt Creator. No, seriously, I mean, for many things, actually, I use Qt Creator actually even as a simple text editor or simple editor when it comes to any kind of languages or programming.
Yeah, okay.
Not only Qt based.
So you've not given into the VS Code, the VS Code army, the We Are Borg VS Code?
It's, okay, there's two parts to that. What I do like about VS Code a lot is about the whole plugin ecosystem. That's great. And that's also why we have been looking into, like, can we do something similar with Qt Creator? When it comes to the few times I'm still developing, admittedly, I want to have an IDE which is actually a full IDE. So I would rather even go towards Visual Studio, and I know I guess lose most of the listeners here. But VS Code in itself it's not a full IDE, so to say, because you're basically just getting the build system and still compile and everything in a terminal, either separate or integrated. You do get way more from a full-fledged IDE like Qt Creator, which is like very beneficial to, at least when I need to do some coding still these days. Yeah, interesting.
All right. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us, answering my, hopefully some of them intelligent and obviously some of them dumb questions about Qt. Putting up with me calling it Qt multiple times. Thank you so much.
That's fine. We're used to it.
I'm sure. Oh, does Qt stand for anything? Where did the name come from?
It's a big miracle, right? And also it's it's an urban myth even older than when I've been here. So I'm working here since 19 years. But some people still believe it was Quasar Technologies at some point in time, even though it never existed as a company or whatever. So I cannot confirm nor deny that this is the case.
It's a great origin story, though. I say we go with it. All right, Maurice, thank you so much for your time. I do definitely appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Likewise.
All right. That was Maurice Kalinowski talking about Qt, and was an absolute blast to chat with him. We do not have someone signed up yet for next week. So if you or someone you know thinks that you should be on the show, let us know. You can give us an email. It's floss@hackaday.com, and that'll come to me. Or you can tag me on Discord or any of the other places where I hang out. Other than that, just want to say thank you. Appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate those that watch and listen, that get us live and on the download. And we will be back next week, hopefully, with another Floss Weekly. We'll see you then.